great favor has been bestowed upon me. I thank God that I have listened with open ears to your words. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you once again, Mataji. Now, the last shloka for the day, that is.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Shall
Please
I
go
read,
ahead.
Prabhuji?
Please go ahead. Yes.
Sabhavan duhitar sneha pariklishta mano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhuji, can you please scroll it up, Prabhuji, so I can see it. Translation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I think Prabhuji has got disconnected.
Yeah. If somebody has the book, then they can read.
Okay, Mataji, I'll only read it, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sabhavan duhitir sneha pariklishtat mano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. Hare Krishna. Shall I read the purport also, Mataji?
I think we can start reading the purport of the first shloka, no? So that by
Okay.
the time Prabhuji joins, we can.
Shloka number, Mataji, which one?
5.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else wants to read? Can go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I can also read, Mataji. I have
Yes,
a book.
Mataji. Okay, Mataji. You can read, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Manu described here with the result of seeing a great saintly person. Lord Chaitanya says that one should always try to associate with saintly persons, because if one establishes a proper association with a saintly person, even for a moment, one attains all perfection. Somehow or other, if one meets a saintly person and achieves his favor, then the entire mission of one's human life is fulfilled. In our personal experience, we have actual proof of this statement of Manu. Once we had the opportunity to meet Vishnupada Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and on first sight he requested this humble self to preach his message in the Western countries. There was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he decided, and by his grace we are now engaged in executing his order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. Thus, it is actually a fact that if one meets a saintly person completely engaged in transcendental duties and activities, his his favor, then one's life mission becomes complete. What is not possible to achieve in thousands of lives can be achieved in one moment. If there is an opportunity to meet a saintly person, it is therefore enjoined to in Vedic literature that one should always try to associate with saintly persons and try to dissociate oneself from the common man, because by one print is not there, Mataji. My
Word,
Word,
by one
Mataji.
word of a
Word.
One
saint.
by
word of a
one
saint.
word of a saint, thank you, Mataji. By one word of a saintly person, one can be liberated from material entanglement. A saintly person has the power because of his spiritual advancement to give immediate liberation to the conditioned soul. Here, Manu admits that all his doubts are now over because Kadama has very kindly described the different duties of individual souls. Hare Krishna, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that I got disconnected for some reason. So thanks for reading. I mean, that's a nice way to occupy ourselves. So apologies for this. So we'll get started on what we are set out to discuss for today. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So now these 4 verses that we are seeing, just try to summarize that. And then before we get there, seeking the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are here. So Tajis and Prabhus, kindly bless me so that I'll be able to do some justice to these wonderful verses that we have for today. I mean, all verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam are wonderful, of course. It becomes more wonderful because we are discussing it today. So, and then the right words come at the right time in the right spirit. I'm doing this as a seva for the Guru Parampara, for the pleasure of the Lordships, Gauranathai, and then as a purification, for my own purification. So this chapter is actually the marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. That's the title of this particular chapter, like you all know. And the situation, you're aware, because here Manu is meeting Kardama Muni. This meeting is being arranged by the Lord. So it's a wonderful thing. I mean, directly arranged by the Lord. And of course, every meeting, every incident in everybody's life, including our lives, it is all arranged by the Lord only, in one sense. But here, it is the Lord who is directly arranged. So we saw in the previous chapter how he gave darshan to Kardama Muni. And then he actually told him, he prophesied, he said, like in future, in 3 days from now or something like that, where you will be met with so and so, and then, this whole thing will fall in place for you. So that's the blessing that the Lord had given. And according to that, the events are unfolding as told by the Lord. So we have Manu who comes to meet Kardama Muni. And then Kardama Muni actually is praising the king for the qualities that he has and also for the activities that he is doing in preserving mankind or in ensuring Loka Kalyan, So in this way, Kardama Muni is praising him. And then it becomes Manu's turn to speak. So Manu again, when it was his turn to speak, so he is praising Kardama Muni. So that is what we are seeing here in these verses. So before we get started there, actually, I just wanted to bring out this aspect of how there is a nexus between the Kshatriya, that is Manu, and the Brahmana, that is Kardama Muni, represented by Kardama Muni here. So now, what is this discussion? So if you look at this discussion between the Kshatriya and then the Brahmana, so each one is acknowledging the role of the other. So there, they are talking about how you go and then you preserve. You do by just executing your duty, then you are actually taking care of all the citizens who are there, all the praja. Praja, it's not just human beings, but then all living entities who are there in that particular jurisdiction, which is the kingdom. So in this, of course, in this case, it is the whole of creation because Manu is the king for the entire Brahmanda. Now, in the earlier days, there was this wonderful rapport that was there between a Brahmana and then a Kshatriya. So, but then in today's context, if you see, you don't have that. So if you look at a Kshatriya as an administrator, as a person who's ruling over, it could be an elected representative, that is all right. Unlike in the earlier days where it was not elected, but still the activities that they are supposed to be doing is the same. But then whether they are elected or whether they are if they are kings and all that. So either way, the activity is the same. But then, are they really doing? No. And then there's another interesting thing that has happened here. An unfortunate thing, not interesting. So what is it? The nexus between the administrative class and then the advisory class. So if you have to talk about the Brahmana today, then it is the people who are giving advice to the administration. So these advisory class of people and the Brahmana, I mean the Kshatriya, that is the ruling class, the nexus is not so great. People who have the knowledge are not the ones who are advising. In fact, the nexus is more with, which class of people have this nexus with the current day administrators or the politicians? Okay, I mean, everybody is a Shudra, but then in terms of functions, you can say it is the Vaishya because it is the businessman. So there is so much of influence a businessman has on the politician. Yes or no? Anywhere you go, I mean, whether it is in India or in the US or any other country, they are influenced by the business people. They actually lobby. I mean, if you go to the US, it is called lobbying. Anywhere, I mean, so there is so much of lobbying that is happening because they just want to make more profits. So they want rules and regulations in such a way that the profits keep increasing and nothing else. They are not worried about mankind. They are not worried about what will happen to people. They are not worried about what will happen to the environment. They are not bothered about what will happen to other living entities and so on and so forth. I mean, this is not new. I mean, we know. But look at the way it has got degraded because the moment the Kshatriyas have stopped taking advice from the Brahmanas, but then they've got themselves attached to the Vaishyas, so to speak. I mean, they are not true Vaishyas in the sense that it is being referred to, but at least there is some semblance of Vaishya because they are doing business and then they are all attached there. And then the way they do it also, they are not guided by any morality or any dharmic views, but it is more about only money and then profits and nothing else. So this is just one point. It's a side discussion or it's a side point that I'm just making. So we understand how the degradation has happened in the Kali Yuga. But in the earlier days, you can see by the conversation of Kardama Muni and Manu, how they used to respect each other so much. In fact, now in these verses, what is being told? Manu says that it is so fortunate that I have got your audience. And then you, just by being in your presence, taking your association, all my doubts have become it has got clarified or it has become simple. And then you have very clearly explained the duty for king. So he is accepting every word of Kardama Muni. And then he is also appreciating it. And then he says that the effect that it is having on me is so wonderful. That means that it's become so everything has become very clear for me. And that's the kind of disposition that a king had in those days. When you compare to the ruling class now, it's none of it. They are nowhere near. There's so much of a difference. It is so difficult to fathom how the nexus was or how the connection was in the earlier days, because we are not used to it, because we just discussed what we are seeing now, and it's a very pathetic kind of a situation. But however, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he is talking about association of a sadhu, and then how when one associates with a sadhu, even for a very brief moment, then there is so much of benefit that one gets out of that association. So, in fact, Prabhupada goes on to give the example of his own association with his Guru Maharaj in the purport, where he says that he had an opportunity to meet his Guru, that is His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. And on the first sight itself, he was given this instruction to preach. So that split, few minutes, okay, and then that little bit of an association that changed the course of history, you can say, and it has changed the lives of so many people, because everybody who's connected to ISKCON, or even people who are not connected directly to ISKCON, everybody has something good to talk about ISKCON. So in this way, the connection between a sadhu and then an ordinary person is so powerful that it has the power to change the course of history also. It has the power to change millions and millions of lives, not just at that moment, but in future, in years to come. So that 10,000-year prediction and all that. So such a powerful meeting it is. So that is what Prabhupada is actually bringing out here. He says there was no preparation for this, but somehow or the other, he desired. Who desired? His Guru Maharaj. That is His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He desired something, and by his grace, by the grace of the Guru, we are all engaged now in executing his order. That's Prabhupada is talking to his disciples. He says, all this has happened because of that one moment association, and then how that mercy, because of the mercy of the Guru, that everything is unfolding now. So like this, Guru Maharaj was, Srila Prabhupada was always connected to his Guru, and he always brought it out in the various discussions that was there. And here we can see that wonderful narration in the purport. He is bringing out that again. Then again, if you look at in Chaitanya Charitamrita, some of you might recall, there is this particular verse which is called, which comes in the Madhya Leela 22.54, which says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Khaya, Lavamatra Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Haya. So what does that mean? It means that the verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success because their life becomes successful. So this is what this is how we should realize the importance of sadhu sangha and never hold ourselves back to take an association. And we don't have to crib or feel bad that, oh, my association with my Guru is only hardly anything, or I don't get to even associate. I've just seen him once, twice. Once, twice is still enough, because lava matra, what is a lava? Lava is actually a unit of measure of time. So it is less than a second. So just less than a second. Lava matra sadhu sangha. So in this way, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can understand. And then in the same Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is also told that unless human society accepts the dust of the lotus feet of great Mahatmas or devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, only then there is some hope for mankind or for human society. That is, only then it is possible for society to turn their attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. So now, Brahmanas are rejected, sadhus are rejected in the current scenario. Rejected as in, when a Brahmana wants to do the duty of teaching, he doesn't get any response of shlokas or anything. Okay, a little bit you might see here and there, but by and large, it is not there. And even people who want to hear the shlokas or hear about the katha, they also have their own personal agenda. So it is not in the way that it is pure without any material hankerings or attachment. So it is kalmasha, it is impure, but still it is going on. And there is so much of mercy flowing, even in a setup which is not so idealistic, which has its own kalmashas or which has its own impurities in every step, in the thought, in the actions, in the intentions of the exchange that is happening. Even though we are hearing Krishna Katha, still there is so much of kalmasha, but still there is mercy coming in. So then just imagine how much more powerful it would be if everything was pure. The intentions were pure, of the listener, of the speaker, and everything, when everything is taken care, then it would have been just amazing. And then we can see that in that example that Prabhupada gave, where he, and then all his disciples, how they were working. So they were working with the purest of their intentions and in the way that it should have been. It was in an idealistic situation that they worked, and that is how that brought about this explosion of ISKCON or the Hare Krishna movement that happened. So this way we can correlate many things that we have seen in the past, maybe not directly, but we know that it happened a few decades ago, and then we are also seeing it happen. It is continuing to unfold. But then the point remains that unless society turns to Mahatmas, so it is our duty to glorify Mahatmas. So it's our duty to glorify Mahatmas like Srila Prabhupada, Mahatmas like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahatmas who are in between, the Shat Goswamis, the philosophies that they preach, so on and so forth. So now, when we glorify them, then we connect them to the common man. And when we connect them to the common man, that is Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, and that will bring about such a change. So we are just a media. We are not doing anything great. But then if we are able to just connect them to the sadhus, then by remembering this verse, Lavamatra Sadhu Sanghe Sarva Siddhi Haya, their life will become successful because of this one momentary association. And that is what is being brought out so wonderfully in this purport. So we have a situation where Manu, the king or the head of this creation, he is actually taking association of Kardamuni, and he is acknowledging that, he is understanding how important that particular association is for him. So, and Prabhupada is also explaining the same things so wonderfully. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord, it cannot be compared to anything. It cannot be compared to any attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter or any worldly benedictions. So you have the whole world on one side, and then you have Sadhu Sangha on the other side. What will we choose? What is it that we should be choosing?
Sadhu
Anybody wants
Sangha.
to try?
Sadhu Sangha.
Yeah.
Sadhu Sangha.
Exactly. So Sadhu Sangha. So the moment that the very fact that we all are saying Sadhu Sangha itself will give us benefit. And that is why I was just asking that question, even though it was an easy choice. I mean, it was an easy question. But then by saying that Sadhu Sangha is important, then we align ourselves to the mercy of for the mercy to flow. So it's a very powerful thing that we should not ignore. And that is what is being brought out here. Then in the next verse, what is happening? What do you do? Sadhu Sangha, okay. Sangha can happen in many ways. Association. So how does a devotee take association? So he takes association, he or she takes association by serving. So how do we serve a sadhu? So again, we have the answer in Bhagavad Gita, Tadviti Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. So if you have to serve, the whole thing is not about prashne or questions, asking questions. It is about serving. The emphasis is on Pariprashnena Sevaya, in that the emphasis on Sevaya, on serving. So when we serve the sadhus, we take their association, when we serve them, then our life becomes, our life becomes completely changed. all our material hankerings will go away. So, and then we will be able to connect to Krishna because of the mercy that is coming in. Now, this sevaya is not, of course, it includes Vapu Seva, like giving them some, serving them lunch, or anything, prashadam, or taking care of their needs, bodily needs, like making them comfortable, fanning them. All this is seva. But then the most important seva that we should do is listening seva. So how do you serve somebody? By listening to that individual. So by paying attention. In fact, that is the only thing that pleases everybody. And then that is the only thing that is recommended in the Shastras. So we just have to listen to them, listen to their instructions, listen to what they are saying, and then accept it wholeheartedly. So listening we do. Okay, to some extent we listen nicely, we pay a lot of attention. But then are we internalizing it? That is the next question. So with the moment we internalize it, then we are actually completing that loop in the aspect of listening. Because if you listen, then you accept it, and then you execute it. So that's the whole process, right? It's not just listening. It should not end there. Though it is a good start, but then it should not end there. Yes, we have our own personal misgivings because of which we may not be able to execute it. But then it should be in our minds always. Then also we get credit. So for that, again, we can take that same example of the Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha that happened with Srila Prabhupada and his Guru. The instructions came in 1920, 22. And actually, Prabhupada executed it in 1965, 66. So there's a gap of more than how many years? 40, 41 years there. Or 43 years, sorry. 42, 43 years, anyway. So now, does that mean that Prabhupada did not do anything? No. During those years, those 44 years, he was preparing himself. And during those years, it was always in his mind. I had heard one of the Acharyas talk about this very nicely, where he said that you have heard from the Guru and you are carrying that intense desire to execute it. But then maybe you're not capable to do it at this moment. But then you carry it in your heart always. And then praying to the Lord so that I'll be able to execute in someday I'll be able to do that, to do justice to that particular instruction that is given to me. So this is the right mode. So we may not do it immediately. It doesn't mean that, oh, I heard from him today, now I'll immediately go and execute. Maybe that's not the right way. Okay. So patience, enthusiasm. These are all aspects of devotional service, pure devotional service, or these are the aspects that will lead us to pure devotional service. There is this particular shloka in the Nectar of Instructions, which talks about, what is that? Nishchaya, Dhairya.
Utsaha, Nishchaya,
Utsaha,
Dhairya.
Nishchaya, Dhairya. Yeah. And Tat
Karma Pravartana.
Pravartanat. Then Sangatyagak Satho Vritte Tadhirpati Siddhyati. So there are these 6 principles which are favorable to the execution of devotional service, where in conclusion it is said that these 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So if you want pure devotional service, then we will have to show enthusiasm in what we do, utsaha, and then nishchayat. Then we should be enthusiastic, and then we should endeavor with confidence, and then we should be patient, and then we should also act according to the regulative principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing, remembering. And then there are 2 most important things that we are supposed to do, which is why this shloka is generally used as an example for. That is Sangatyagat and Sato Vritte. What is Sangatyagat?
Non-devotee association with
Yes. Giving up association of non-devotees. Tyaga. Sangha is the association, and Tyaga. Here it means non-devotees. And Sato Vritte. What is Sata and then Vritti? Sato
doing
Vritti
something
means
good, Prabhuji.
Following in the footsteps of
following in the footsteps of devotees. of
Gurus
Vaishnavas,
Acharya.
of pure devotees, of Guru. So we have to follow in their footsteps. So we'll have to accept what they are saying. So these are some of the things. These are the qualities that we will have to hold here to. We have to cling on to that. We should not let go of our enthusiasm. We should not let go of our patience. We should not let go of our confidence. And then we should let go of association of non-devotees. Means keep it minimum. It doesn't mean that I'll turn the other way when they are here. Taking association also, it has been explained what it is. Taking association is not just you see your neighbor and then greeting them, hello, how are you, or lovely day, or have you finished your breakfast, or how are things, I didn't see you for a long time. These are just normal conversations. This is not exactly taking association. Taking association, again, is there, no? Pratigrinati, I mean, like, sorry, exchange of gifts, exchange of the mind, the heart, all that you don't do. You don't go to a non-devotee and then speak out your heart and all those things. That is not recommended. These small exchanges are okay. Sometimes relatives, you will have to do some things, obligatory things, so go for a function. You may not like it, but then you still go. And then you just say hello there and then come back. And of course, it depends on the individual. So each one to what extent you can associate. But then association actually means those things, exchange of gifts, giving and taking gifts. And then again, nectar of instruction only. So that one book is our handbook for how we can practice Krishna consciousness, how we can cultivate cultivation of your pure devotional service. So everything is given here, every word, whether it is Chaitanya Charitamrita you're reading, or Srimad Bhagavatam, or Bhagavad Gita, nectar of instructions, everywhere it is all condensed, and then it comes to the same point. It is the same point of executing what you hear. And when we execute what we are hearing, then we'll have to take shelter. That means we are taking shelter from them. And then in the next verse, it is talking about you should take shelter from Mahatmas. So who are Mahatmas? So that also is given in Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanas tumam partha devi prakriti ashraya. They are people who have taken shelter of Devi Prakriti. What is Devi Prakriti? That is spiritual, transcendental. It is not Prakriti is material. Devi Prakriti is transcendental or spiritual. So it is not material, it is spiritual. So person who has taken shelter of Devi Prakriti, such people are Mahatmas because they are always doing devotional service. They are always engaged in devotional service. So we take shelter of such people and then we follow their instruction. We follow the rules. I mean, it's not just about following the rules and regulations for the sake of following it, but seeing another person and then following it. That's the whole point. So nowhere we should conclude that rules and regulations are not needed. No, I am following the rules and regulations because it has been followed by a Mahatma, because Srila Prabhupada did certain things. So, and then his instructions are like this. And I have been told to carry out these things. So I am following the rules and regulations. And then how do we do it? We do it with, yes, that shloka, which we said, Utsaha, Nischaya, Dhairya. So we do it with enthusiasm, with confidence, and with patience. We go about doing it. So these are things that have to be cultivated. You know, devotional service is actually a cultivation. Pure devotional service. It is like, even in the material world, if you want to compare it, when I was reading this, I mean, these are the thoughts that came to me. It's like a professional who is trying to become a profession. I mean, like some profession that you choose, any profession you take as an example, a doctor or a lawyer. How do they become a professional in that? Of course, they have to attend their college. They have to learn the theory. They have to understand those things. And if it is a doctor, then they'll have to do experiment and all of that. But only doing those will not ensure that they are qualified professionals in that thing that they have chosen. What I'm trying to say is, like, a doctor has to do what? He has to practice under a doctor, a qualified doctor, right? And what is that called? House surgeon or whatever. So where they are always as linked to a doctor, and then they learn from him practically, him or her practically. Even the lawyer like that only. after finishing the exams and all that, and then you practice law, then you actually go join a law firm, and then you are connected with that another lawyer. So even in material world, there are examples of these which are aligned in this way. So the same way, even bhakti. So we might know the theory, we might be doing the practice, but unless we connect to sato vritti, follow in the footsteps, connect to the Mahatma, the pure devotional service will not come into our lives. That mercy will not come. Krishna will not give the mercy
Prabhuji.
directly. Hare Krishna, somebody wants to say something?
I'm sorry, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Your voice was not audible, Prabhuji. That's why.
Oh, it's not
Now
audible
it's
now?
okay.
Now it's
For
okay.
a moment, Prabhuji, it's okay now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Today it looks like I have some connection issue. I don't know. Anyway, so like this, sato vritti becomes very important, and that is what is being brought out in these verses. So just the association. I mean, the next verse talks about Mahatma, about the devotional service. It's not just about following the rules and regulations, and it is about serving the people who are actually doing pure bhakti, and serving them is by listening to them, and then you can actually identify that person. See, now we know how to identify such a person. That is Mahatmanas Tumam Partha Devi Prakriti Ashrita. And then after that, then what happens? You take shelter. And when you take shelter, then it is complete surrender. And it is not just about some lip service. So I'm surrendered to this guru. Now I'm going to hear the mantra through his ears. He will come and tell me, and then I will just chant. No, it is not like that. And then I just pay him some dollars. So this is an example that Gopad is mentioning in the purport also, where he says it is not that. It is different from that. Because when we align ourselves to the Guru completely, it is like you completely give everything. So all the decisions are made by the Guru. Everything, we don't do anything without consulting the Guru or the senior or in any way. At least definitely not major decisions like change of job, change of place, these big decisions that we make in life, or choosing a partner if somebody is not married, these sort of things has to be done in consultation with the Guru, directly or indirectly, based on the instructions given, or connecting to the seniors who are connected to the Guru, and then taking inputs from them. In this way, we will have to connect ourselves.
Prabhuji, going on a yatra also you have to ask Guru Maharaj?
No,
With
going
the-
for an yatra is, see, yatra is generally organized by the Guru only, right?
No, devotees, Sangha.
Yeah, so then it has the sanction of the temple, which means it has the sanction of the temple president. So you don't have to every time go running to the Guru for the sanction.
No, Prabhu, because there are so many devotees who are planning and then making trips here and there.
Correct.
I'm asking in that context.
Yeah, so we have to go on an yatra because if we need association, so we can understand that we don't have to really ask because it is sanctioned and approved. Yatras are already sanctioned. You can go on yatras, they say. But in what way I go? So many times I've seen in yatras also, when we go to yatras, generally what the trend is, we have our own known set of people and then we try to stick to them. Or saath mein jayenge, then we'll stay together and all that, which is good to some extent. But then we'll have to transcend that. Because you're going on a yatra, you have everybody is a devotee, so you're meeting new people. So how does it matter who's sitting next to you? Because everybody is a devotee, so you'll only discuss Krishna Katha. Otherwise, then it's not necessary that I have to always be with the people with whom I am. Oh, this person I don't know, or I won't. I mean, then the purpose of the yatra is not there because the yatra is to build that community after, right? So anyway, that's a different conversation, so we'll not go into that. But yeah, you don't have to. I mean, I didn't mean it in the way that you have to everything you have to ask, because what is already there has the sanction. That is the point I was trying to bring out.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Understood.
Yeah, thank you. So like this, we'll have to ask. In fact, instructions of Guru is also different. So that is what Prabhupada also mentions in that purport. So how is it different? There are many examples. So like Prabhupada himself, he gave various instructions to different people, and that is something that is that you will not get if you don't align ourselves to the Guru. Because what happens, like Prabhupada gave different instructions to different people. We all know this. Why did he do that? It is not because he wanted variety. It is because Prabhupada knew to what extent that other person will be able to take, depending on what is the absorbing capacity of that individual, what is the current situation of that individual, to what extent he is attached to material or not attached to material, whether he or she will be able to follow instructions. So they give it in that way. It's like those dosages that the doctor administers. Something new he wants to try out, he will just give a small dose and then see, and then go ahead with that. So we've seen all this practically also. And then even though the symptoms are the same, the different patients have different dosages and then different instructions from the doctor. Some small differences could be there. It will depend on what? It will depend on the age of the person. It will depend on the weight of that person. It will depend on age, weight, and then any other symptoms he or she has, whether it will react, all of that. No? So that whole science behind it. In the same way, this also is a science where the Guru knows our position, where we stand, what is our guna, our three gunas, what is more predominant, how we are acting, how will we take these instructions. And he also has to ensure that we don't reject that instruction, like how the doctor also has to ensure that the medicine is not rejected by the body, right? So like that, the Guru also takes care of that. So the instructions will vary. Like a wonderful example, I can, yeah, it is around 10:15. Yeah. So there's a nice example from Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya's times. So when Ramanujacharya was there, and then, I mean, of course, he had a lot of devotees, so we know that. And then he was heading the Sri Vaishnava Mutt in Sri Rangam. He had two devotees who were very close to him. I think it was Kuresh and Dasharati. So they were like the left and the right hand for Ramanujacharya at that point. They were like completely, they had given themselves up to him, and they were both considered as equal in many ways, in terms of knowledge, in terms of the everything, they were. But then, one interesting thing happens with both of them. I had mentioned this earlier. I don't know if I had mentioned in this forum. So what happens is, Kuresh actually comes up to Ramanujacharya and then he says that, Gurudev, can you please explain a particular verse of the Bhagavad Gita? What is that verse that they want the Guru to explain to him? That is Sarvadharman Parititya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishyami Ma Suchaha. Now that's almost like the concluding instructions of Bhagavad Gita, right? That's the last part of what Krishna is trying to say to everyone through the Bhagavad Gita. So now he's saying Sarvadharman Paritijya, I want to know this meaning. So Ramanujacharya then actually looks at Kuresh and then he says, for that 1 year you will have to stay with your Guru, and then you have to follow all his instructions and so on and so forth. So he gives some instructions like that. Then actually he asks him to go visit another place where another senior Vaishnava is there. So he says, you serve under him for 1 year and then come back, then I'll be able to give you this. Then Kuresh says, oh, but no, Guru Maharaj, I'll not be 1 year. We don't know what will happen in 1 year. I mean, he's showing enthusiasm. He's eager. We don't know what is going to happen in 1 year. Next second only, we don't know what will happen. I may not be there. So this is too much. Do something about it. Show your mercy. Then he says, okay, if not 1 year, then at least for a month. And he agrees. He says, okay, that's doable. So he goes and then he stays there. He serves menial service, whatever service is given, everything. They don't go with a recommendation letter and all that, saying that this is my right hand, very good devotee of mine, so you please take care. Nothing of that sort. He's just going there to serve. So he was given any type of work. So he did all that with the intention to please that senior Vaishnava. He comes back, and then Ramanujacharya actually explains the meaning of Sarvadharman Paritijya, and then it's over. Now, Dasharati comes to know of this other person. Now, Dasharati also wants to be enlightened about this verse, the inner meaning of this verse. That is what they are asking. So he also wants the same thing. So he also approaches his Guru Maharaj, that is Ramanujacharya again. And then he says like, yes, Guru Maharaj, please, even I want to know the meaning. So will you kindly explain it to me? Give me your mercy. He says, I'll do that, but then you will have to do something before that. He says, yes. So what is it? So he is actually asked to go and then do menial service in Mahapun's daughter's household. daughter is married and she is in another village. Mahapurna is one of the gurus of Ramacharya. So they are the same, this thing, but then he is a guru. He is the one who gives Diksha. If you know the life story of Ramacharya, Mahapurna is the guru. So now Mahapurna had a daughter. He was a grihastha, so he had a daughter, and the daughter was married. And then there was some issue in that household where she was being pressurized to get some help because all the work was dumped onto her and she was not able to manage or whatever. That the situation was such that she had come to Mahapurna and then to Ramacharya, and then she had expressed her difficulties and all that. And then it was decided that we should send somebody as a menial servant. So now menial servant, if you have to send, and it could have been anyone else. But then Ramacharya then asked Dasharathi to go and fill that spot. And Dasharathi immediately agrees, and then he goes and then he begins to serve. So he goes with the daughter of Mahapurna to that household. So he's not introduced as Dasharathi, he's not introduced as a scholar or a Vidwan. So he is just there as a help, and then he's been told to wash vessels, sweep the floor, and all the menial service that one would probably dump on a servant, and that too in the in-laws household. You know how it will be. So that was being undertaken by Dasharathi, the great scholar, who's the right hand or the left hand of Acharya. So this continues, and there was no time limit set for him. So he was to go and then execute it. So then he was executing it. And then later on, it so happens after many, many months or something like that, then there is another scholar comes to that particular village, and then he is giving a discourse on Bhagavatam or something like that situation. And there he is explaining in a very different way, and Dasharathi could not bear it because he knows everything. So he immediately, he is just not even part of that audience who's immediately intervenes, and then he begins to talk to that scholar. And then the way he was talking, then people slowly realize that he is no ordinary man because he is quoting from Shastras, and then he is defeating him. So then they realize who, and then they want to know who it is, and then they realize that it was Dasharathi. And then the way he interacted with him was also very wonderful. So seeing all this, Ramacharya then calls him back, and then he says, now I'll explain, and then he explains. Now, the whole point is that same request from equally dear devotees or disciples of Ramacharya, but the instructions given were different. So by this, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the Guru knows what is our situation. Our situation as in not my body or not my mind. The soul, where is it? To what extent I am contaminated by the material world. We may be able to camouflage it. I may not know it myself also, because we will not know. No? I'll not know whether I'm, impolite with people, or does that come across? How do I come across with others? We don't know. But the Guru knows exactly. So in this way, when we surrender ourselves to the Guru and then just carry out the instructions, then there's definitely Kalyan for us. The instruction could be anything. It could be as varied as going to another senior Vaishnava and serving, or going to a normal household as a menial servant and then serving. But the instruction has come from the Guru, so you just take it and then execute it. Then there is Kalyan for us, definitely in that. So this is the point that we should all remember and keep it in our hearts, and then try to reach that situation where we will just know. In Kannada there is this saying. They say "Palig Bandit Panchamrit." So whatever comes our way is like Panchamrit. That means it has to be accepted like Panchamrit, like what is coming from the Lord. Panchamrit, where is it coming from? It is coming from the Lord, because we have bathed the Lord with all those ingredients, and then mix is called Panchamrit. It is Amrit, and then we accept it respectfully, joyfully, right? So whatever comes, whatever life throws up to us or comes our way, we'll have to accept it as Panchamrit. So these are all very minor details of Vaishnavism, of trying to move towards being a pure devotee of the Lord, or do pure devotional service, or making our devotional service pure. We are doing devotional service, no doubt, but it is not very pure. So making it there. For that, we will have to take the support of an other Vaishnava, a Mahatma, or the Guru, line ourselves, and then continue to do what we are doing. So we might still do. Sometimes, we do it not with that kind of a consciousness, but with the consciousness that, oh, now I've read all this, now I know this, now I'll do this. Oh, I know about Utsaha, Dairya, I'll know this, I know this, so let me execute. No. While we have to cultivate all this has to be cultivated under the shelter of a Mahatma or a pure devotee of the Lord or Guru. So, like the example that we took of the material world of a lawyer or a budding lawyer or a budding doctor who has to serve, even though he or she might know all of it, but still she or he will have to practice under that individual, that senior, and thereby become more complete or qualified. So in the way even devotional service is also like that. So this is a point that just wanted to share. And then these are the things that comes out in the purports in verses 5, 6, and 7. And then in the 8th verse, that is when actually Manu is saying why he has come there. So he's come there because of the fondness for his daughter, and then keeping the interest of his daughter in his heart. It is making him come to Kardama Muni, and then he is now going to unfold what is the proposition that he has with respect to Kardama Muni and his daughter, that is Devahuti. So that's where I think I'll stop here. Almost we have another 2-3 minutes. So these are the 4-5 shlokas that we covered for today, where wonderfully Prabhupada brought out this aspect of surrendering to the thing. So the main takeaways are association of sadhus. First, we have to understand the association of sadhus, lavamatra sadhu sangha. So that's very important. We don't have to really crib or feel bad that, oh, I don't get association. Look at them. They have such a long association. No, you don't need all of that. Just lavamatra is enough. And then taking shelter of that individual in our mind. And then finding such a person is again the Mahatma. So who are always involved who are always with Daivi Prakriti, which is who are in transcendence. They have got nothing to do with material. So that thing. And then we also see how it is important. And we saw those material examples of how even in materially, if you want to become proficient also, such things happen. So no doubt, definitely in spiritualism, if you want to do bhakti, which is nice and pure, then we will have to align ourselves to a pure devotee. And then once we align, then we will have to follow. It's not about just taking some mantra and then walking away or telling him what to do. Nothing of that sort. So then again, tadvidi pranipatena, and then that wonderful example of Ramacharya, where the instructions are different, even though both the disciples are very dear to him, but he knew there were certain anarthas or certain things which are more in a certain individual than in another individual. So he had to remove that. He's constantly working to refine them, make them better and better. So those instructions also will vary. So with that understanding, I think I'll stop here. If there are any comments or questions anybody has, please go ahead. Otherwise, thank you so much. Okay, I see hands raised. Padma Mataji, Suma Mataji. Yes, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranams, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji, in the one of the purports, it has been said that we have to get the dust of the great devotees and the purest devotees, Prabhuji. Not everyone is fortunate enough to get that, Prabhuji. So what can one develop? What mood can one develop, Prabhuji, like to have that also?
See, we will definitely get an opportunity to take the dust of the lotus feet of the person whom we are supposed to follow, the Guru. It is just that at that point we should understand, because see, the Shastras say that the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is what is going to purify us. So that is the link that is there. Because that link to the parampara, physically, if you have to see how it is connected, it is coming from the head to the feet, and then from the feet, the dust, and then it comes onto our head. So this is how it has to go. So we will have to earn for it. If we don't have it yet, the next best thing is to earn for it. Yearn for it. Not earn, not EARN, yearning. Like We have to aspire for it. So if we yearn for it, then it will definitely happen. So this is what, I mean, if you look at what other devotees talk about, when something is manifesting very strongly in their hearts, there is a thing, then things get arranged in such a way that it happens. So there again, then we need to have faith, we need to have enthusiasm, patience, determination, because it may not happen immediately. It might take little time. So we'll have to cultivate these qualities rather than the end result. By making us wait, maybe the Lord or the Guru is trying to teach us something or trying to cultivate some other quality in us. So whether we get or we don't get, if we are having the right attitude, then there is learning in both instances. Do you agree with that? Whether we get it or we don't get it. Because if we don't get it, then we earn for it. We want it, humbles, in Kannada they say, so like that, we want it, so it's always in our mind. So there again, the purification is happening. So dependency on the Lord, on the mercy, and then accepting the situation as it is the first step. And then, just continue to do what we are supposed to be doing. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's the way we should be looking at it.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us hope, and let your words become true, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
I have another doubt, Prabhuji. After Padma Mataji, I'll just ask Prabhuji if time permits. And
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat. Now, my question is related to association of non-devotees. About this yatra, when I was talking to you, many yatras we have gone, there are a lot of new people also come join, but they know nothing. So, of course, we have to associate them. So, all we can tell is wherever we go, we tell them, we guide them from whatever little knowledge we have. So, that also becomes association. After the trip is finished, they don't even associate. Some join the classes, some don't. So, can you comment on that, Prabhuji?
See, Mataji, actually, these yatras are the starting point, the ground preparation. It is like planting the seed. So we plant the seed with the intention to have the fruit, but then there is a time delay that is there, and some activities, more activities have to happen. So it's an ongoing thing. So we just have to do what we have to do without worrying too much about the result, because that result can discourage us, in which case then it is better not to worry too much about the result, but continue to execute. And thank the Lord for having had the opportunity to connect to that individual. Now, whether the full connection is established or not, when it will get established, yes, it's not in our hands. But at that moment, living in the moment, at that moment, I used that opportunity to connect, and I did what was the best thing that I could have done. The rest is left to the Lord. So there is surrender, there is also maturity, there is patience, and then it aligns to the thing of whatever our scriptures say. We can take examples like that, and then and it keeps us balanced. So we just do what we are supposed to do. Of course, we will nourish the hope of ensuring that they are there, so we don't give up any opportunity, but keeping that hope alive, being enthusiastic, and at the same time accepting what is unfolding. It looks like they are contradictory. One is having hope means then being very over enthusiastic, all that. The other one is resigning ourselves, like a fatalist. Okay, whatever happens anyway, I don't know. So I mean, these two are like opposites. It looks like that, but that is what practicing or preaching is all about. Because in preaching, we might know that this person is not listening, but still we show enthusiasm and then preach, because we are not trying to preach or please that person, but we know that by showing this enthusiasm, my Guru is pleased or Krishna is pleased. So we'll have to step out of that discussion that is happening and then look at it in a holistic way, and then do what we have to do. So this is what I would say. I mean, because many times it is very discouraging. And then we expect something, but it doesn't happen. So this is one way to handle that. Of course, there are many ways to handle it. I'm just giving you one way that came to my mind.
Yes, some people join later on. They become devotees. Some don't.
Some don't. No, but it is not like they don't. There's nothing like
it takes time.
It is just that time is separating them. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised to see after 3 years, oh, that person will be walking around with a chanting bird. So, so you can take some, happy, I mean, something out of it to say, make you a little happy that, okay, I was also part of it. Like how the bridge was built by Ram, then Adil Seve, they say, right? Nimitta Matra and Adil Seve, like that squirrel also put some pebbles and all. And then it was also connected. I mean, it was also part of that construction of the bridge, however you want to view it. So,
Yes,
so yeah, we can do that way.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, you can come on now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Medavini Mataji has some question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, can I ask Mataji,
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji? Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very wonderful session as always. Prabhu, we read in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, which also quoted that.
Mataji, I'm sorry, you were going a little fast. I couldn't catch what you were saying.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, am I audible?
Yeah. Hare Krishna was audible after that.
Okay, sorry, Prabhu. Maybe I just went away from the mic. Prabhu, I was just saying that you mentioned in the class today about Srila Prabhupada, how he met his spiritual master in 1922. He got the instruction to preach Krishna consciousness, and he actually executed that instruction later in 1965. So the entire 42 years was preparation to that one instruction that he received from his spiritual master. So, Prabhuji, I was just thinking, we don't have that kind of direct association with our spiritual master. We have general instructions, preach Krishna consciousness, practice regulative principles, like that. So I was just thinking that, preach Krishna consciousness is an instruction that even Prabhupada received from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and we have received it from our spiritual master. But the amount of preparation that Prabhupada did, he was already a pure devotee of the Lord. He was predicted to be the Senapati Bhakta. Yet he took so much time writing Bhagavatam first canto in terms of Radha Damodar Mandir, preparing himself, and then he did by very wonderful task of going abroad and opening 108 temples, etc. So I was just thinking, Prabhu, at least for myself, when I receive an instruction from the spiritual master, whether it is through email or something like that, we want to do that instruction immediately, So I was thinking, how do we know? Of course, if we have the time, if we do prepare ourselves more, we can definitely do a better job, right? When we're doing it immediately, because there is the resources and there is the opportunity. So we try to take the first opportunity to fulfill the instruction. So what is that balance that we have to have? Should we go ahead and do it? Because sometimes practice also makes perfect. We try several times, we may fail, and we may practice more and more times, and maybe we'll get better in it. We never, at least I cannot perfect myself. But then what is the mood that a disciple should have? At the first opportunity, should we try to do it, or should we try to prepare ourselves in such a way that we are able to do a decent job? And what is a decent job? And when do we know we are prepared to deliver an instruction in the best possible way? How do we measure ourselves? Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhanush. Prabhupada, it's an interesting question. See, actually, Prabhupada never waited for those years and then he did it. It's not like that. He was continuously endeavoring, and then the instruction was in his heart always. He carried it through, he nourished it, he kept it burning. It's like sometimes, that fire, you don't allow it to, the coal, you don't allow it to extinguish, but then because you need to light up, use that to light up a bigger fire later on. So you keep fanning it and then keep it that way, right? So like that, he kept it that way, and then he carried out whatever was the need of the hour. And then, he was associating with Vaishnavas and the Gaudiya Math people. He was sponsoring, he was a businessman, right? So we've seen in the life history, all that was happening. But this thing was always there in the back of his mind. So like that, and then he endeavored also. Then he was that league of devotees, and many things he was doing like that, So, and then there were some failures. Then why, even 1940s only he published, he started the publication Back to Godhead. So everything he was endeavoring, he was doing. Then it happened. Eventually, it happened later on. It's not like we will just wait. Now I'm not ready, so I'll wait. Prabhupada waited for 43 years, so let me take that example. So I mean, our mind can trick us into believing in many unnecessary ways like this. That's not what it is. So the moment we get an instruction, if it is executable, then we will have to execute it with enthusiasm. If it is not executable at that point, then we can always ask, should we do it now, or how is it like? There will be more things that will come, or consult another senior and then say, this is what he said. How do I go about carrying this forward? So that person will be in a better position to explain to us because of the situation, So like that, we will have to mull on that particular idea and then see how I can take it forward, and then consult, discuss. Everything has to be put into practice. But we will have to not rush it in the way that, oh, he has told, I have planned to what somebody else is suggesting. No, not like that. If it's a senior, then maybe there is a way to reach there. It might look like we are going in an opposite direction, but then it will eventually take me there. So this maturity will come. So there is no one straight answer whether I jump in or I wait it out. It will again depend on the individual, and it will depend on the instruction, and it will also depend on how we are listening and then how we are taking it forward. So there's no direct answer for what you asked, but it's something that we'll have to think on and then keep that thing burning. That instruction should be always, it should not allow it to die out or cool down so much that it becomes difficult to bring it up later on. So that's what I can say now for whatever you asked.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Prabhu, because Prabhupada mentions that, he was writing the first canto of Bhagavatam, and that is in preparation for the instruction, and, Prabhupada wrote the Chaitanya Charitamrita and all those things. But was it that the opportunity which Sumati Morarji actually gave, that was actually causing the delay, right? But Prabhupada was, if he had got that ticket, say in 1925 also, he would have left immediately, right? So it was only the external reasons which were not within his control that delayed, and Prabhupada was making every endeavor to do it as soon as possible. Is that the right understanding, Prabhu?
Mataji, to some extent that is right, but probably he wouldn't have taken it in 1925 if the ticket was given. Because he knew he would not have taken it, because in fact, he was perplexed. He said, like, how is it that he gave me such an instruction? And then there is a discussion that ensures where he says that, no, how can we take it there? We are a underdeveloped, poor nation. Will they listen to us? Something, those kind of discussions were there also. So, but then the instructions remained with him. He knew it has to happen. Now, when it will happen, he depended on Krishna for that. And then complete surrender. So, see, that time had to be ripe on the other side also in the US. So maybe in the 20s, if we had gone, it wouldn't have been like this. So it's many things that is coming in, and then it has to fall in place. So, and that's how we should position ourselves. That is what is being, that's the message that we read out of that whole thing when you see. It's not that he wouldn't have done it or would he have done it. It's not about him. It's about us, and then how we are looking at it. And then how we understand the takeaway for us is that we'll have to show patience and show enthusiasm. These are the two words that we read out today. So Prabhupada was showing both. There was enthusiasm and there was the patience also.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I ask you a question, Prabhuji? Second question, Prabhuji.
I don't know if there is time, but yeah, maybe we can go ahead. We'll try to keep it very short.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, one second. Raji Lakshmi Mataji's hand is up.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, sorry, it's a very basic thing. I was trying to understand, Kardama Muni is also the son of Brahma, and Swayambhu Manu is also the son of Brahma. So how can he marry his brother's daughter, Prabhuji? I mean, biologically.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say for this.
No, I mean,
maybe it's a different. Sorry, go ahead.
Because both of them are brothers. Right? I mean,
Very good
Brahma's
answer.
son, Swayambhu Manu, and Kardama Muni is also Brahma's son, right?
No, silly question, don't ask.
No, I mean, it's not silly. It's coming to her mind. Like some people have this, they say like Saraswati, Brahma's daughter, because it is her creation, but then she becomes her consort. How is it and all that? So yeah, there are certain questions that, I mean, I don't have the answer for that. Maybe somebody else should be able to enlighten.
Thank you, Professor. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I ask Prabhuji? Ashish
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, it is about the shloka, Prabhuji. The Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vrajaham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Moksheshyami Ma Shuchaha. In that Ma Shuchaha, do not worry, Krishna says. Like we are practicing bhakti to attain peace, to be happy, and to achieve everything, eternal happiness and everything, Prabhuji. So, and in whatever cases that we have read in the Shastras, in like in Draupadi's case, in Gajendra's case, and everything where they have surrendered to the Lord, they were all in such a state, like they were in a distressful, very state. So, Prabhuji, I just wanted to know, and why is it the Lord saying that it is Ma Shuchaha, do not worry? So is it necessary that one should surrender to the Lord that in this state only, like, or a living entity can surrender to the Lord in a happy state of mind also? So I just wanted to know, Prabhuji, if at all one has to surrender in that state, like we are practicing bhakti to have that to not have that kind of worries or anything, anxieties or anything. So, and Krishna is asking us to surrender to his lotus feet. Do not worry, he says at the end. So, what does that, how am I able to understand this, Prabhuji? So,
see, contextually, these two are a little different. See, one is about the instruction, Sarva Dharma is a conclusion to the Bhagavad Gita, where we'll have to keep in mind what all Krishna said. And then he talked about, and then said that, okay, all this Dharma, various things I spoke of, but then there is only one thing that you have to remember, which is like in conclusion, sometimes they say, no, you teach a subject and then you give a conclusion. So they say like, main thing for you all is Sarva Dharma and Parityaja, so you'll have to reach that particular state. Maybe it'll take some time. Somebody might go through this path, that path, because you have those propensities. That's all right. So like that. Now, the other aspect that you spoke of, which is about we are doing that only in a happy state. Why is only in distress that we remember the Lord? That's the nature. That's the nature of the soul. I mean, Krishna himself has said that there are 4 types of people who come: Artha, Tato, Jnani, Jignasu. So one of them is the one who is in distress. So when we are in distress, then we are helpless. Why is this distress? Is because we are helpless. We can't help us. We'll not be distressed if I know that I can solve that particular problem that I have. I know how to take care of it. You know, you have something coming up to you, and then you know you can take care of it. So distress is not there because you know you can handle it. So when distress comes, means then there is helplessness. Helplessness means then you look for somebody for help. So it's only in distress that we look at the Lord. In Kannada, they say, Venkataramana. Sankata bandaga Venkataramana. So when there is Sankat, then there is Venkat. So it's just that rhyming thing. So that's not like that. So in this way, this is the nature of us as human beings, because we have come with this false ego and all of that, which is embedded onto us. Intelligence, mind, false ego, all this. So we operate in a certain way. And so in that situation, we only think of the Lord during that situation. So he's showing. But then all this is a Leela. Draupadi, Arjuna, the distress of the Pandavas, and all that is just that it's a Leela, and they are showing us what all a person can go through. And even in that situation, then they did not give up hope, or they did not give up the Lord. Because if you don't look at just that incident of Draupadi that happened. If you look at that entire lifetime of Draupadi, she, or even the Pandavas, they never blamed Krishna, or they didn't expect Krishna to bail them out, or any of those things. Like, they never asked for it, even though he used to come associate with them. So if you look at it in that frame, then there's a different message that comes across to us, which is about how to tolerate and then how to keep the faith in Krishna. Again, Nischaya, Dhairya, all of that, patience, tolerance, and then continue what you have to do, not expecting the Lord to bail you out and all that. So that's a very high level of understanding. So there are many understandings that comes out of all these Puranas. So it depends on what kind of maturity that we have at that particular point, or what things we are going through. It might look a little different, the answers, but then eventually it has to lead to that point, the final point that we discussed today, the whole thing. So if that is clear in us, then all these small things might be all right. No? So we will not worry too much about them, but we will just continue with what we are doing. So I'm just repeating whatever I said and trying to connect it rather than trying to give different perspectives. So eventually we will have to reach that particular point, which we spoke in the class today. And these people, the personalities that you just mentioned, they are actually part of the Leela and they are showing it to us. They are just playing out that Leela for us so that we learn, we remember, and then we, take those learnings from the of remembering the Lord or Sarva Dharman Parityaja, and then continuing our lives in that way and making it successful. The end could be anything. It need not be. See, the end that you mentioned was about me becoming, coming out of the cycle of birth and death, which is a good goal to keep in the start. But as one progresses in devotion, it is no longer about myself. It is about Krishna. It is about pleasing others. So if Krishna is happy, then I'm happy. And that's the mood of the gopis. So they're not bothered about what happens to them. That's how they were willing to give the dust of their feet to put it on Krishna's head. And then Narada was amazed. He said, "What are you doing? Do you know what will happen to you?" Then they said, "No, it's not about us. If Krishna is cured and he is happy, then that's it for us." So that's a highest level. So it depends on how we view it. I hope I didn't confuse you, but that's how I would look at it.
Thank you so much for your guidance, Prabhuji. Benefited, Prabhuji. The only way, a question that was like, need not that one should surrender to the Lord in a distressful state. He can happily also be surrendered, like Parikshit Maharaj also, no, Prabhuji? Like, came to my mind now. Parikshit Maharaj.
That's true. But if in a happy way they are surrendered, it will not be a Leela because there's no message there, no? So that is why.
Oh.
Yes, the point is, what is that? Brahmabhuta prasannatmana sochitena kanchite. So when we are surrendered, then we are prasanna. There is happiness there. Even the distressful situation that you spoke of, we might go to the Lord, but then somebody might have done that. But for a pure devotee, there is nothing like distress. They are always happy. There is no distress for them. We might think it is distress, like for the mother. Mother is taking so busy. If you're so busy, somebody might say, an observer might say, but she'll say, no, what is there? There's nothing at all for me. I'm taking care of my child. I'm doing it happily. so that perspective varies. So it's all relative. It is all relative. That much we should understand. So.
Very wonderfully said, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Pranams to you.
I think Ashish Prabhu wanted to say something. I don't know.
Yeah, I will. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining in. It was a wonderful discussion. A lot of intakes. So we want to see you again and again.
I thought you were making some announcement you wanted sometime. So sorry about that. Okay.
No.
Okay, so we can conclude the session. I know we took a long time. We exceeded 10:53.
Yes, sir. Yes.
We can conclude with the.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Pranams to everybody.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Dhanush pranams to all. Hare Krishna.
Namaste, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I end the meeting with the permission, Prabhuji?
Sorry?
Can I end the meeting?